the women that raised me were going through so much. But because I was a child then, I couldn't see it, I didn't understand it. But I think that the world owed them much more than what they received. Because for me, I thought you were fine. Do you know what I mean? I was a child. I thought you were doing great. I had no idea, right? All of these changes are happening inside of your body, and you have to take care of a newborn immediately. Like you can't.
So now there's two people you have
There's
to take
two
care
people
of.
you have to take care of. You as a mom, whether you're a first-time mom or just a new mom, you are going to go through these transitions, and you are going to have to take care of this newborn, right? So South Africa, 1 in 3 women or moms are suffering from postpartum depression or anxiety, and there are other illnesses that I like psychosis. What else? There's quite a few, right? But for South Africa, it's postpartum depression, it's postpartum anxiety, and I do want to stress PTSD. She used to work. She's a midwife and she was working, in the system. And then she just couldn't do it anymore. Because what she wanted to give to the mothers, she couldn't. Because of how the system was. And she taught me the term compassion fatigue. Because she said, the system is saturated. Some people have given birth standing in corridors. They've had to catch their babies because the nurses refused to listen to them when they told them that the baby is coming. Some babies died as these moms gave birth because the nurses were maybe working somewhere else, or it is beautiful to give life, to bring forth life into this world and to love this baby and all of those things. It's amazing. But we need to paint the whole picture. Not just, this cute bundle of joy, not romanticize motherhood and say, and only show pink, cute strollers on Instagram, the nurseries. Because also, let's face it, that's not the reality for the majority of the mothers in South Africa. No.
Okay, good day, good morning, good evening, whoever you are. We love you here. Thank you so much for joining us again on another insert with Isialo Overflow. Today I have a lovely woman that we have grown to know. She's doing amazing work. Before we continue though, pause it right here and subscribe, because that helps us to spread the word and spread goodness around our community. So did you pause? Pause now. Cool stuff. Sis Andisiwe, and usually here the guest announces themselves. Okay. But let's go into it. Please tell us who you are, Sis Andisiwe.
Okay. So firstly, I am quite nervous because this is my first time ever being on a podcast.
Oh, wow.
So if I mumble, over my words, please, you and the audience, please forgive me.
Feel at home. Feel at home.
Also, yes, so let me introduce myself. And when I'm introducing myself, am I looking at you? Am I looking at the camera?
Look at me, look at the camera,
Okay,
whichever
I'll
works
look
for
at
you.
the camera. Okay.
Just be relaxed.
Okay. All right. So, my name is Andisiwe Sixenxe. I am a mother of one. And I don't know if I can still say first time mom because I've been a first time mom for like close to 3 years now.
Yeah.
It feels a bit outdated to still say first time
First
mom.
time mom. Yeah.
But I am a mom to a 2.5-year-old sweet, cute little boy. I also am a wife as well.
Nice.
To, I think, the best partner that I think God and all of his creation could have ever picked for me.
Nazo. You see, there are great men out there.
Man,
Please, can you celebrate them?
I am blessed. I am blessed.
Thank you.
And I also, so that's just me in terms of family. What I do is I have an organization called MumBelu that works to support mothers, especially moms in postpartum. And I work to raise awareness of the postpartum period. So postpartum being the period after the mom has given birth, which I think is a very fragile time. So I have an organization that advocates for the well-being of moms, not just moms in postpartum, but moms, all moms, young, old, first-time, new moms, all moms. And yeah, I'm a motherhood activist, motherhood gladiator. I fight and I stand for a world that loves mothers. Yeah.
That is an absolutely mind-blowing intro. Possibly the best we've had so far.
Okay.
For a first time, I know you nailed it. Yeah. I like to dig a bit deeper.
Okay.
Right. Yes, you are a mom gladiator now. I can attest. I've seen you in action. But give us a context of who Andisiwe was before that, and how it poured into this moment where you are now doing what you're doing. I mean, what influenced it? And if you like, in fact, also bring in childhood experiences that influenced this moment of your life.
Okay. So because I'm a first-time mom, I'm still learning, to reconcile who I was before being a mom and who I am now, because those worlds are quite vast. And even though they're quite vast, like vastly different, they have a lot of similarities because it's still the same person, but this person has transformed. So I am still trying to reconcile these two worlds. But what I will say is that I have always been a very passionate person, very ambitious, but I would say passionate more. And so what that means is whatever I touch or whatever I want to work on, I tend to give it my all. I'm also I can be an extremist. And so when I tackle something, it's very difficult for me to be swayed to not tackle that thing, especially if I'm really convicted of the cause, I basically, me as a person and the work that I do now, one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about it is realizing that the women that raised me were going through so much. But because I was a child then, I couldn't see it, I didn't understand it. But I think that the world owed them much more than what they received. And so now that I'm a mom and I'm in similar positions, as they were in, I want to create the softness that they lacked, or the softness that I feel the world neglected to give. I'll give an example. This is an example I always wanted to share, but didn't know where I was going to share it.
Yeah, so. please, relax.
So in the year 2000, I was 8 years. I was turning 8. I think I'd already turned 8, right? Yeah. And we came to Johannesburg to visit my aunt. My aunt Unombini Mbagaza. And she's like my favorite person in the world, by the way. So it was the best year of my life. Like even as an adult, I can tell you now that holiday, that December holiday, was the best holiday of my childhood.
Shout out to Andy.
Right? I'll tell you why this was such an important moment. In that same year, I think in March of that year, we had lost my mom, right? Very tragically.
Sorry.
Right? We had lost my mom quite tragically, and it was just, I think, for adults who understood the magnitude of that loss, I think they were really still grappling, with that loss. But because it happened quite early in the year, me as a child, I was 8, so I think children bounce back very quickly, right?
Quickly, yeah.
And so in December then, like in the Eastern Cape, there's a huge thing about going on holiday somewhere else. So we came to Johannesburg, and my aunt was still staying in Braamfontein at the time, and we were staying in like an apartment with her. And that's like, we would go to her workplace to watch shows because she works at the Civic Theatre.
Oh, nice.
We would watch shows like Aladdin or whatever, like plays, And I remember that was the first time I remember drinking Fanta grape. It was amazing. The first time my aunt introduced us to pizza, it was the best time, right? You. Then last year, my aunt and I are just chatting, and she's telling me about this hard time that she had, where her marriage ended. She had to move out of the house. The house was eventually repossessed, and then she had to really like find a place to stay, and at the same time she had to try and find work, and then she found this place in Braamfontein, and she tells me how hard that year was, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me this happened in that same year?
That same year.
Because for me, I thought you were fine. Do you know what I mean? I was a child. I thought you were doing great. I had no idea, right? And she's just telling the story, because my aunt is a great storyteller, like love her to bits. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
And so this is what I mean when I speak about mothers not being, like me advocating for them, ensuring that they have what they need to thrive. Because I realized that mothers are just expected to do it all. They're not supposed to break. They're not supposed to, I don't know, they just have to keep it together, for their kids, for everyone around them. They take care of everyone. And at that time, during that year, my aunt needed a lot more. My aunt needed support. She needed community. She needed everything, and that's just the story, an example of what I'm alluding to. Like, the world I'm trying to create is a world that considers mothers beyond their duties of motherhood, but to see the humanity in a person, outside of their duty of being a mom.
I mean, I as you narrate the story, I mean, obviously I can't help, and I'm sure whoever's watching us, we can't help but to reflect and to see, in actual fact, what we used to see might have not been actually the true representation or reality. So I could clearly see how that would influence what you do today. Tell us about your childhood, though. What is give me one, your most treasured memory as a child. Does this qualify as one?
I wouldn't say well, the holiday itself was really amazing,
right?
But I think I've got more sentimental. Okay, this is sentimental, but it still holds a very playful, very gleeful memory. But I would say if something would be more sentimental, it's being raised by my grandmother and my grandfather, but my grandmother, being the pillar. And I think she's a pillar because when my grandparents got us, me and my brother, after my mom passed, I think they were well into their 60s, I don't know, going into 70s, I think. Yeah, 60s. And so they had already kind of lived their lives. They were in the villages. My grandfather had retired and stuff.
Yeah.
And my grandmother never went to school in terms of like, I think higher grades or whatever. But she was a very smart woman, you know. And I think, MumBelu is actually after my grandmother. So it's the clan name of my grandmother.
Dope stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that would be the memory. Like it's a lot. It's like a compilation of just being raised by her and just being strong as well, because she was a very strong woman. Yeah.
Okay, let's set the tone. Now I need you to give me your most embarrassing moment as a child.
Oh, do I even have?
Oh, even now as an adult, I don't know.
You know, I don't know if I have an embarrassing moment, because I think I've had to build myself up.
So
honestly,
you don't even have something, nothing.
No, I wouldn't say anything has embarrassed me.
Yeah.
I can't think of any. Maybe my son throwing a tantrum in the middle of a store and me not being able to contain it, because then there's a lot of eyes, and now you think there's a lot of pressure as well. Like, are you going to discipline the child now? Or are you going to, you know? So it's a little bit embarrassing, but it's not like ha embarrassing. So I don't really have that.
I think it will come. The ha will come later once you dealt with
I
it.
hope so, because it's hard. Oh.
Yeah, no, that qualifies. Yeah, man, I mean, it's good to know you. It's good to meet you. I think we are now officially acquainted in a way.
Okay.
And I think whoever's listening can now see you are also human. She's also human, Buffett.
Very much human.
Yeah. Your work is interesting, and you are on the ground. Yeah. Versus a lot of people that speak about issues, you are on the ground. So I think there's a lot of insights that I would like for us to unravel and put it in plain sight, sort of, regarding the area that you work in, and so let's start off really with let's start off with the clearing the myths, the smoke and mirrors, the misconceptions, the what people think versus what the reality is. And I'd like for you to keep in mind the teenage girl as you give this to us, because I feel sometimes Ugutim, we don't always have the support we need, as you have said, but most importantly we don't also get the information we need as and when we need it. So maybe can you give me the misconceptions concerning motherhood, and let's really think about the teens as we speak about this.
Where do I even start, right? Because when I speak about motherhood, it's such a vast topic.
Absolutely.
You know, and sometimes it overwhelms me, because I feel like it's a field that is understudied, you know. So personally speaking, not just how I define motherhood, but what I've seen from lived experiences as well, and what I've studied, you know, in terms of motherhood, it's a monumental step, monumental period, monumental phase that any girl, any woman can, you know, embark on or take the step into, right? Motherhood is not just carrying a baby for 9 months and giving birth to it. It's a whole transition. You can't unmother yourself. Once you become a mom, you are a mom. You're not just a mom. So that's not all that is to you.
Yeah.
But it's a huge, huge step. So what do I mean by this? So there's a famous quote, and I love it because it's so true, right?
Yeah.
It says, I'll paraphrase, but it says, when a woman gives birth, two people are born, the baby and the mother, right? Because how do I put this? When you become a mom, a new version of yourself is born.
Yeah.
And it's not up to you. It naturally happens. Firstly, because if we had to be scientifically, like if we had to speak scientifically, as your body, is carrying the baby, it undergoes a lot of transformations to sustain the pregnancy and to keep this baby alive.
Yes.
Right? So what that means is your brain and whatever, your body produces certain hormones like progesterone, estrogen, all of those, just to sustain this pregnancy.
Yeah.
And there's a new organ that the woman gains, right, which is the placenta, which eventually takes full control of the hormones that sustain the pregnancy. So when you give birth, scientifically speaking, there's the birth of the child and there's the birth of the placenta. Now, if you think about it, the placenta controls, I think from the second trimester, most of the production of those hormones, right? So once the placenta leaves the body, there's a drastic decline of hormones, right? And that means how you've been thinking and feeling for the past 9 months is now, poof, it goes down.
I never even thought of, I process information in the way you explained it now.
Okay.
And nobody has ever been able to give me this. I've had, once you give birth, there's a whole lot of changes in your body. I'm like, what changes? And I think you've just taught me something new. Wow.
Yeah, so that happens, right? So as these hormones are decreasing rapidly, and what I mean rapidly, I'm not just saying, it's like a rapid
It's
decrease,
drastic.
because the placenta's gone. You don't need it anymore. Your body's done with the pregnancy, right? But at the same time, there are now new hormones that are now, being pumped into your body, so that you, as the mom that has given birth, are able to take care of this baby. So it's not up to you, right? There's oxytocin. There's what's the other one? Lactonin, something like that.
Is that for the milk?
That's for the lactation
I had
to
the
happen.
lactin.
Yes,
I was like, definitely.
for the milk production. So oxytocin is that it helps you bond with the baby. It helps you stay in tune with the baby. Oh. So that's why people say moms like it's like mothering is second nature, because you know what the baby needs before the baby says what they need. It's basically your body having like an alarm system kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Where you even think about possible things that could harm the baby and you move them, you are just alert, I mean, when I first had a baby, I fought with mosquitoes like I was fighting for my life, because I was like, you are not going to sting my baby. That's how hectic it was, And later on I realized, it's a stupid hormones, like they're really hard on me. But so your feelings aren't really things you can control, especially in those first few months, and I would say it's quite drastic in those very first 2 weeks, and that's when people usually speak about baby blues and whatever. So it's a huge transition, right? But then because all of these things are happening psychologically as well, you can how do I put it? Okay, so we've spoken scientifically, and now let's speak about all of these changes are happening inside of your body, and you have to take care of a newborn immediately. Like you can't.
So now there's two people you have to take care of.
There's two people you have to take care of. You as a mom, whether you're a first-time mom or just a new mom, you are going to go through these transitions, and you are going to have to take care of this newborn, right? And this newborn as well is adjusting to life outside of the womb, right? And so you're juggling these two new people, right? And it's hard, okay? It's hard for a grown adult, because I had my baby when I was 30. It was the hardest thing that I've ever done, right? And if you can think about, if now this responsibility is now placed on someone younger, like a teenager, it's hard.
And I just want to also say that even in the midst of these adjustments between you and the child, there is the surroundings are still as they were, perhaps. So that's another management system that has to happen. The external, the uncontrollable variables like your family, that uncle, that aunt, that even that one who's always on your back, and the other one who's insensitive. Like all of those variables still exist, and they are also coming at you at the same time.
And that's why it's so important for me to advocate for moms in postpartum and to raise awareness of the postpartum period, because society, as we've progressed, progressed, we have lost the understanding of what in Xhosa, in my language, we call it umama osanda beleka, which is a mom that has just given birth. Umdlezana.
I think that applies to isiZulu as well.
We've lost what they need, right?
I think in Sotho, I don't know what they are called, but they call that period situeti.
Yes. I mean, in the olden days, like the mom would be surrounded by the matriarchs in the family, right? For 3 months or a month, sometimes you're not allowed to go out. Everyone, you are fed, you are bathed, the baby's taken care of, you are taught how to take care of the baby. I mean, there's even a practice where the older mom in the family baths the baby and shows you how it's done and stuff. And because life, I mean, we're progressing, and a lot of our ways are being infiltrated by Western ways and globalization. And I feel like because of those things, we've lost a lot of what is important as well. And now taking care of the baby is just, the nuclear family, the mom and the dad, or just the mom, because we also have a pandemic of single moms, right? So it's really, really hard. And if you think about all that I've mentioned, for teen moms, there's also stigma of what were you doing, with boys. So society shuns you as a young mom. You're isolated.
So you're not only dealing with these transitions.
No.
But now there's also an added pressure and sometimes it's close. It's like
it's family.
You wake up and there it is.
Yeah. And so this isolation can really, really affect the young mom, because what they need at that time is not stigma, it's not judgment, it's support, So it's quite a lot. And that's why I think motherhood has to be taught. Like the understanding of motherhood has to be taught to young girls, older, like everyone basically. And whether you want to be a mom one day, whether you are a mom or you never want to be a mom, the reality is you will be around moms. And so understanding what moms need is really important, because the well-being of a mom directly impacts the well-being of a child. So if the mother is not taken care of, chances are the child will suffer as well. And that's why I do what I do. That's why I'm really passionate about just changing the way society views motherhood,
Yeah. Yo, it's I have a younger sister. One of the youngest actually in my family right now, who also is an expecting mom. And I remember when she called me and said, "Hey, Puti, something has happened." And I'm thinking, Dad, and she says, "Well, I kinda am pregnant, right?" I know how I would have felt, in back in the day, before, my own journey. But the first thing I felt was compassion, because I thought, not that I wasn't. My was not so cool or anything like that. It was more of I am just imagining the changes that she has to go through. And I wasn't thinking about like then now they are compounded. I was just more thinking about, dang, you had not have the chance to figure out how to take care of you. And now you have to take care of two people. So this hits home for me in many, many, many ways. And I'm kind of wondering, I think, and I might be diverting here, but I have to say this.
Yeah.
I think we are a society that struggles with acceptance. And I'll say why. A child is pregnant or a teenager is pregnant. It ain't gonna change. No matter what it's not gonna change. This is a permanent thing, you know. And so how how much time do I need to accept? Because for instance, if I don't accept within these 9 months, then chances are I would have given her so much stress, which transfers onto the child. Kanti, I mean, if you're disappointed, yeah, deal with that disappointment and accept. Because then, guess what? Kusasa uzovuka lo kakhulelwe, and lo muntu azobamletha, they are your grandchild or maybe they are your niece or nephew. And so at the end of the day, your decision at that point towards either supporting or condemning is going to not just affect her but even the generation that's coming.
You know, it's interesting that you've brought that up, because one of my other thoughts surrounding motherhood is, you know, I've had to also kind of reserve grace and compassion for the parents that are disappointed at their teenage daughters falling pregnant. And the reason why I've decided to reserve some grace and compassion is because of how hard and challenging motherhood can be. So if I know how hard and challenging motherhood can be at my grown age, I can imagine the devastation I would feel if my young daughter has to go through the same thing. Because much as I can be there to support her, there are some things I cannot save her from. Literally, like the physical things I've just spoken about, right? Which sometimes can lead to things like postpartum illnesses, like postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, you know. And if maybe we aren't financially well off, maybe we don't have medical aid, so chances are my daughter will go into a healthcare system in South Africa that is highly saturated, where they will meet compassion fatigued healthcare workers, and they will be ill-treated, because no one is spared, you know, in South Africa when they go to public hospitals sometimes, you know. Maybe your daughter will give birth sitting on a bench, or give birth, you know. So there's these fears as well that moms feel, you know. But at the same time, the daughter needs that compassion. The daughter is in that situation, you know. And that's if they decide to keep the baby as well, because there are those options, whether the mom is comfortable with that or not, whether, you know. So there's just, I think all round, there has to be understanding, and there has to be acceptance, yes, and there has to be great compassion for the one that's in that situation.
And I like that you brought out the point of view of the parent. This is just a hard
tricky situation.
It's a very tricky situation, but the overarching theme that I'm receiving is that there's a sense of we got lost somewhere, and we rejected in the midst of us, you know, either rejected, or we threw away, or were influenced to throw away certain practices that actually benefited us as a people. Okay, so and I can imagine with the state of change that a young mother will have to go through, that is pressure, that is a paradigm shift, and I can see a lot of anxiety in that. What is your experience in that, or maybe what have you found on the ground in terms of the anxiety issue and the depression that people face? I mean, do they? Maybe? Yeah.
Extremely. So South Africa is, just to give you stats, we have one of the highest stats in terms of like postpartum depression, right, and anxiety. It's like when I say global, I mean when all countries in the world are taken a look at, we come out top.
Wow.
Right? So South Africa, 1 in 3 women or moms are suffering from postpartum depression or anxiety, and there are other illnesses that I like postpartum schizophrenia. Psychosis, not schizophrenia. Psychosis.
Okay.
What else? There's quite a few, right? But for South Africa, it's postpartum depression, it's postpartum anxiety, and I do want to stress PTSD, right? Post-traumatic disorder, because we live in a very unequal country. The majority of the moms are from underprivileged communities, which means they go to public systems for healthcare help. So and when you look at those stats, it's also important to note that teen moms or young moms are more prone to these illnesses because of added pressures, the stigma, the isolation, basically because then they have to deal with all of these things and this new reality of motherhood, and they still have to manage society's expectations of them. Maybe some of them lose friends because maybe your friends, maybe if I'm a teenager, right, and I'm pregnant, my friend's mom's probably going to tell me, don't play with that girl anymore because you're going to learn bad habits from them. You're judged at school. You drop out of school most of the time because the teachers as well aren't very, helpful. They're not compassionate towards you. You're being judged left, right, and center. At home, outside, when you go to the clinic, you're being judged by the nurses, because what are you doing with boys at such a young age? There's so much. So definitely, moms in general in South Africa are going through a lot, especially young moms. And there are a lot of, I can speak about one. There's one organization that I'm like colleagues with, I would say, which is Ubushabam.
Okay.
It's just determined to assist teen moms. They do education. They help, just with what moms need, young moms, right? And they help society as well to just try and render more compassion to these moms. And look, we're not saying applaud, that's not what we're saying. We're saying it has happened. It is happening. How does society deal with it? Because shunning these moms is not going to help. Because, like it or not, it's another generation that's been born through this mom, right? So if this mom is equipped and empowered rather than shunned and judged, better outcomes are possible for the mom and for the child.
It's a really tricky situation.
Very.
And I try not to speak into an area where I can't in my mind wrap around the solution for. And I think as you were speaking, it was quick to want to point fingers at our health department. But then again, I realized with the talks that I have sometimes with people who work there, I realize they're short-staffed. I realize they are under-equipped. I realize that administration is a nightmare, and so it's sort of like it's a hard one to deal with, and I think that is why I like to give props to not just NGOs and NPOs, but even anyone and everyone who makes a difference, even if it's just for two people. But what are some of the stories that, maybe just one that you heard, an experience that you feel Uguti, because I think at the end of the day, I mean, not to scare our teen girls, but in reality, and so what are the other things, I mean, that an experience that that we are having with the system?
Okay, so so I like that you've mentioned that with the problems we have with the system, because a lot of it is systematic failures, right? When you look at the healthcare system, and there's a reason why I don't say like horrible healthcare workers treat people badly. No, it's last year I learned a concept from a midwife in Durban, Vashni. She's an amazing midwife, by the way. If you're in Durban, you need a midwife and you want to,
Shout out to Vashni.
Shout out to Vash. She used to work. She's a midwife and she was working, in the system. And then she just couldn't do it anymore. Because what she wanted to give to the mothers, she couldn't.
Oh my God.
Because of how the system was. And she taught me the term compassion fatigue. Because she said, the system is saturated.
Say that again. What's that?
Compassion fatigue. So you're
tired of giving compassion.
You can't give anymore. Goodness. And that's why it's very important for the system, the healthcare system, to also constantly pour into the healthcare workers, because currently they're understaffed. And every single day their corridors are flooded by people who need this help, but who helps them, right? And I mean, someone will sit at home and say, but it's their job, whatever. But it's also the government's job to ensure that the people that render help, especially like I don't know, like help in a healthcare facility, right?
That's part of human resource. To ensure that you have enough staff to cope with the influx of people. So constantly, that should be checked constantly to say, if we are serving 400 clients a day, how much staff do we need? And not just staff, how much wards do we need, beds, and all of these other resources. I mean, I'm not an expert in this, but I think I do understand how that works.
So Vash said she couldn't just, because as a midwife, she wants to literally take care of the mom, because she understands it's such a fragile period of her life, from pregnancy right up until you give birth, and even afterwards, right? So she wants to teach you about what's going to happen to your body. She wants to walk you through it. She wants to be there when you give birth and reassure you and all of that. You can't do that in the public healthcare system, especially.
Man.
There are no beds. Some moms are sitting in the passages and the benches. I mean, my sister literally 3 days ago was telling me of an experience where her friend nearly gave birth on a bench as well. So it's very traumatic. And there's even a term that I also had to learn, which is obstetric violence, right? This is basically violence it's violence caused by healthcare workers upon pregnant women, right? So for example, shouting at you like, if they want to take a sweep and check if you're dilating, for example, then they like open your legs, or they want to they're telling they're ignoring the pain that you are feeling, and they're telling you you're not ready to give birth yet, but you can feel it, because childbirth is really almost like a bodily function. When it's there, very seldom can you stop it, or can you say, now I want to give birth. And so you need someone who will listen to you. You need someone who will, when you say, oh, I feel this now, is it normal, for them to say, it is normal, but relax and breathe this way, whatever. But you're not going to get that with our system currently, right? And this is why, some people have given birth standing in corridors. They've had to catch their babies because nurses refused to listen to them when they told them that the baby is coming. Some babies died as these moms gave birth because the nurses were maybe working somewhere else, or, you know, and it's literally because it's not human for someone to ignore and like someone in that state, for example. So that's why I say like compassion fatigue. And if I maybe have come across as saying that nurse, whatever, I do apologize. I'm just trying to express the magnitude of the problem that we have.
Yeah.
So when a person has gone through that, or maybe they wanted to give birth naturally and then they had a complication, but it wasn't explained to them, and so now they're seeing themselves being wheeled into theater, and now they've been cut, you know, against their consent, and no one is saying anything. It creates hectic trauma. And remember, this person, even though they're traumatized, they still have to go home and take care of that baby.
Yeah.
And what usually happens in public hospitals as well is, even though you've gone through this traumatic experience, when they give you your baby, because you're still struggling, and some healthcare workers have said to moms, do you want this baby to die? Why aren't you feeding this baby? Breastfeed this baby right now, right? Because they too have so much going on. I mean, there's no excuse, right? But sometimes they just want to move on to the next patient, right? And it's not human to do that, you know.
I can imagine even for them, it's not human to take care of. I don't know what the cap is, but I'm imagining just delivering one baby a day. I think is it would be normal for me. If they said become a midwife, how many babies, based on just what you told me, I'd say no, one is enough. One is enough. In fact, maybe one and then one day off, just so I can debrief myself. And so, but I see this, and then they have numerous numbers. When my firstborn was born, that sounds wrong, but anyway, when my first son was born, it was in a public hospital. Fortunately for me, I can't say anything horrible based both on my experience and the mom's experience. I think we were around the ages of 24 or so.
Okay.
But I remember, because I was a new dad, I don't know these things, you know, and so I went there, Baragwanath. So I come in there, and I have food. She said she's hungry. I mean, these days we have chats. At that time we had BBM.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm hungry. And I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna bring you food. So I lie at the gate, and I say, no, my wife has just given birth, and the doctor said she needs these documents, and the guys just said, okay, get and I went in. So you can imagine, I'm not supposed to be there. And so I get to this door. It's like a corridor thing. It's not really the door to maternity, but there's like a corridor nyana, and then somehow the lady who's in there says Uzaguban, and I tell them, and she said Uletain, and I'm saying I brought this, and they were kind enough to take it. But I mean, eyes are eyes. I was traumatized with what I saw in there. Like, I didn't expect that when that door opened, I would see several women walking around trying to get their act right. And that in itself just it gave me immense EDGBs. I remember I even opted to go to studio, switch off my phone, and my son was born.
Blackout.
I was in studio. Yeah. So that was how hectic that ward was, and even today when I think about it, I think that was just too many people in that ward.
Yeah, I mean, some people are affected by that, but I think it's considering the state that we are in terms of our healthcare system and stuff, it would be better if the workers in those wards had more compassion and were equipped with more empathy as well. Because I think just childbirth, people do say it's between life and death and all of that. So in those moments, like, I think just pregnancy and childbirth are literally one of the most fragile periods a woman can experience. And so in those moments, you really do need like a strong support system. So that's why nowadays you're seeing a lot of like a growth in like midwives that are opening their own practices. Hopefully they're equipped and they're licensed, because you do have to be licensed.
There's that.
There's doulas as well. So a doula is like the person that like is like a companion, and for me as well, like I'll be launching soon, which is Umama Assist, postpartum and newborn caregivers, for example, where it's like people say it takes a village to raise a child.
Absolutely.
So we need to bring that village back into the homes, and that's what I'm trying to create as well. And so while the mom takes care of the baby, someone has to take care of the mom. And that's basically the idea behind what I'm trying to do, what midwives are trying to do, what doulas are also trying to do. So,
this is not even half of what we said we would cover, and I'm looking at the time. I think most definitely, if you're watching this, it has a second part to it. But we still have enough time to squeeze in this. We talked about the anxiety and how, well, we obviously see how anxiety comes in, seeps in, and depression. And you now introduced a new term of post PTSD from being ill-treated. And it's hard, because then we are literally ill-equipped. I see even with mental wellness in this actual space we are in, if myself and my partner can't raise that money for that person to see a doctor, then we have to turn them away at the end of the day. And that is sore. I can't tell you that pain is really sore, because the alternate for them, for instance, here in Protea, the Protea Glen Clinic does not have capacity for mental health, so they are redirected to Shawela Clinic, I believe. So if Shawela Clinic caters for Protea and Shawela and surroundings, it's not possible, not at all. So we can see that we really, 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 really need even the regular person to, please, philanthropy does not mean you have to wait until you are a millionaire to give. Like that 500 into the cause that's being started by your sister next door trying to do something. That is a culture we need to develop right now. But can we end off at this point with I want you to walk me through, particularly with our teen moms, and maybe in the second part we can deal with marriages and so forth. Okay. But walk me through how these traumas play out for now post giving birth.
Okay.
What are the experiences, and maybe we can even sinabe a bit if we have some time.
Okay, all right. So so just to lay a foundation, right, of how these look, I want to say that one of my biggest frustrations and maybe sadness that I feel regarding society and how motherhood is perceived is that society has glamorized motherhood and romanticized it. Let me be honest, motherhood is one of the best things you will ever experience in your life, right? It is beautiful to give life, to bring forth life into this world, and to love this baby and all of those things. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But we need to paint the whole picture, not just, oh, this cute bundle of joy, not romanticize motherhood and say, and only show pink, cute strollers on Instagram, the nurseries. Because also, let's face it, that's not the reality for the majority of the mothers in South Africa. No, right? But it is it's majorly what we see online, right? And so people will say, when your baby's born, it's going to be the best day of your life. For a lot of people, that's not the reality. And this doesn't mean that they don't love their children, right? Yeah. And I'm not here to demonize motherhood. Please do not crucify me. I'm not here. I'm a mom, and I've gone through everything that I've shared, and I love it. I love my son. I can speak about motherhood very honestly because I've had to work through everything that I've mentioned previously, right? So what happens, right? So one of the things, the reason why I brought romanticization and glamorization of motherhood is that when a mom gives birth, they start comparing their reality versus what they've seen, and it's not the same. And so they immediately feel like something is wrong. But what they don't realize is that nothing is wrong. This is the reality, actually. And what society needs to do is show more of this reality rather than glamorizing it and romanticizing it, right? That's what I want to start off with. Okay. So how do all these illnesses, all these problems, right? How do they manifest? How do they show? First of all, I spoke about the hormonal changes, right?
Yes.
So these hormonal changes really, they affect the moods of the mom. So in the first 2 weeks, approximately 2-3 weeks, moms tend to cry a lot. They become very overwhelmed easily, right? And these are called baby blues. Very common. Okay, so I'll say that again. They're very common. 1 minute the mom is crying, 1 minute the mom is happy. It's just then they're overwhelmed. Then they like tossing and turning. And then some people will say, why what's going on?
Yes.
But it's actually because a lot of it you can't control. Things are changing in your body, and there's nothing you can do about it but wait it out.